color and sound and symbols and catchphrases and archetypes and how all these things affect us on a subconscious level. So, you know, to truly wake up, you know, being one of the solutions, just having, you know, a mass awakening, getting people to wake up to these things, is obviously to understand some of these more like symbolic and subconscious ways of control, such as the talismans. And I mean, just to show a little bit of scientific research showing how colors, just colors themselves, affect the body. Colors are literally just vibrations of sound. They're higher and more rapid of a frequency on the frequency scale. So these sound vibrations, they become inaudible, and then eventually they get detected with our eyes. They're picked up by more highly tuned instruments that are our eyes. And for instance, the cones in our eyes, they vibrate at a frequency of like 500 billion cycles per second just to perceive the color yellow. And so even red is 400 billion cycles per second to perceive that color. So then you see a lot of those colors in fast food restaurants, because what they literally do is they'll slightly increase the heart rate, slightly increase the metabolism, and it makes people want to eat quicker and then leave quicker, such as fast food. And then you see the polar opposite of that. You see the more calm, cool, natural colors, the blues, the greens, the browns, you know, the very soft colors in the fine dining restaurants. So colors used very hypnotically in the media, you know, in advertising and absolutely everything. And the science behind it is when the color passes through the pupil, that signal is sent to the hypothalamus, which affects the neurotransmitters in our brains, the enzyme and hormone production, as well as like a whole other slew of physiological functions in our body. So literally color, I mean, I don't know if people pick up on this, but color truly affects the physiological function of our enzymes and hormones and neurotransmitters, and it can bring about, you know, hormones, obviously, it brings about specific emotions sometimes. Yeah. So this is precisely why colors in advertising is used so carefully. You have sound, you know, and the beat of music today, like a lot of pop songs, you know, around 72 beats per minute, because it feels good, because it's right in line with the average heartbeat. So, you know, and you have archetypes that, you know, we're seeing a lot today, like the animus, the big daddy, the, you know, in our so-called leaders, these strong archetype figures that, you know, that if you don't understand archetypes, like going back and looking into a lot of Carl Jung's work, if you don't understand the archetypes, it's something that's played on us on a subconscious level that we're not truly understanding.
Oh yeah, and that's also, I think, a lot of I mean, in a sense, when you look at all of this and take it together, you also see that we are participating in this control that is ongoing, and we are willingly, so to speak, you know, letting them control us. And this is, I think, that the archetype that you're talking about here is a big part of that. That in a sense, people are craving for that, you know, dominating force above them, the you know, the Uber father or what have you, you know, that dominating force. So that's very important to also recognize that if people have that inherently within themselves, that they're craving this, obviously we're going to get it, you know.
Absolutely.
You know,
I'm glad you said that, because that really just brings me into my next point. Archetypes, obviously, they're universal patterns that pretty much everybody follows. And when you look into mythology and even in religion, all the allegory surrounding it, a lot of it has to do with archetypes, showing a very symbolic way that people react with the outside world around them. I mean, archetypes are very important in this. And I mean, this is where I really want to jump into the solutions, because everything I mentioned here, you know, about this esoteric agenda, all the way from humanity's departure from natural time, like we said in the beginning, the pagan rituals behind, you know, all the political agendas, the elite bloodlines, the UN programs that are trying to destroy our freedoms, they can all be negated in a heartbeat. And it's very simple, but it's also very difficult for, you know, for some people to understand in this day and age. I mean, the most difficult thing for modern left-brain, logical, rational thinkers is to understand that there's truly nothing that is happening in this world. Like you were just saying, there's nothing that is happening in this world that we are not doing to ourselves. And this is where, you know, many people get confused, because, you know, they want hardcore physical action. They want to do something outward and external. They want to sign a petition or debate politics or spread the word about Ron Paul or demonize the UN.
Right.
Anything that has to do with creating a revolution, something external, something that people can follow.
Yeah.
Because that's what people want. What these people don't understand is that they're really just not facing themselves on a personal level. They consistently have to create a leader or something that they can follow, this hero archetype, or the teacher, or the healer, or any type of external thing, anything that gives them an excuse not to put their responsibility within them, but to put it into somebody else.
There you go.
So because in that way it gives them a little bit of relief. If the outside world of unexpected changes and random events and things like that, if that ever lets them down, they don't have to suffer, because they always have a fall boy. They have a scapegoat. They can blame it on whatever they were following, and it's not their fault. And the reason why it's so difficult for people to understand how quantum physics and metaphysics, like these new age sciences, it explains that we're all connected with a web of consciousness, this supreme intelligence. Is because people don't realize that intelligence, the intelligence that this is really postulating, it isn't always defined by something that can be applied to human intelligence. We have this innate strive to try and anthropomorphize everything and make it seem like, well, intelligence has to be something that I can recognize by my own intelligence.
Just look at religion, what they're doing. They're anthropomorphizing everything, all the deities around. They're putting a face on it in order to identify with that and project yourself onto the hero or the archetype, whatever it might be. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a common misunderstanding, is that when you talk about the intelligence of the Earth, and you talk about the intelligence of the universe, and this matrix that's pretty much pervading all of existence, it's a type of intelligence that maybe you don't really understand because you're looking at it in the wrong way. Mm-hmm. For instance, how does pollen know to use the fuzz on the bee's thorax and the abdomen of a bee to spread to other areas? How do seeds inside fruit know how to use the animals to spread to other areas? Like, this is a type of intelligence that is within nature, and sometimes it seems so simple that people don't want to call it. It seems like an insult to people, to call that intelligence. But it truly is.
Right, and we've also been given a kind of what I would call a false explanation almost, because science now tells us in many cases how it's being done, but it never tells us why it's being done. What is the will behind something? Why does it even work? What's the